Welcome back to another episode of Caps Off by the Game Day. Fantasy Day, NFL Day. We're back.
We're back officially, dude.
Jesus Christ.
Chiefs, Lions. I don't know why they chose the Lions to go against the Chiefs because I feel like they could have done a better matchup for us. But now it might be a little bit more even because Travis Kelce could not be playing. Is he questionable still?
I think he's questionable, yeah. We don't know for sure if he is going to play. We are going to run through some injuries. Obviously, a lot of the guys in fantasy right now are dealing with some injuries before even week one, which is crazy. As a reminder, if you're looking for any betting advice, betting promos, make sure to go to thegameday.com/promotions. We got a lot of good things, so make sure to sign up. Also, as a reminder, Felipe and I will be doing fantasy episodes Tuesday and Thursday every single week, where we'll be doing start sits. We'll answer any questions. So I think the best way to probably reach out to us would be on Twitter because you and I are the most active. So if you have any fantasy questions, make sure to go follow both of us on Twitter. You can follow me at TGD Tabs on Twitter, and I believe yours is
Felipe Fontes.
The one and only Felipe Fontes.
Not another one.
But yeah, let's jump right into it. But heading into week one, we have some massive players that are dealing with injuries. Like, I think this might be the first year in the last 3 to 4 that I could at least remember where some of the biggest names, some of the biggest players in the first 5 rounds are dealing with an injury before even playing a single game. So you mentioned Travis Kelce.
You have 2 first-round picks, like top 5 picks, top 5 to 6 picks.
Easily. I had a draft last night, and some guy, unfortunately, he couldn't log in, and he ended up getting Kelce in the first, Cooper Kupp in the second.
Jonathan Taylor in the third.
I got Jonathan. It's actually a keeper league. I got Jonathan Taylor in the 7th, which I was like, how am I not going to? But let's start with Travis Kelce, right? So just to give an update, obviously this is going to come out a couple hours before the Thursday night game. So by the time this comes out, there could be some information on Travis Kelce, whether he's playing or not. I know they were testing him this morning. But he's got that hyperextended knee, right, and a bone bruise. Jason Kelce, his brother, also said he's played with that before and you could recover quickly. According to SportsMD analysis on Twitter, Deepak Chona said you can inject the knee and he could play well versus the Lions, but he would have a massively high injury risk. So the data is showing that he should sit week 1 and return in week 2. What are your thoughts on Travis Kelce?
I mean, I saw a tweet from you, actually, because I love your Twitter so much.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yesterday about Cooper Kupp, and you're like, my best, if I'm a Kupp manager, I don't want him going out there and risking re-injury over these next couple weeks. I'd rather get him back when he's healthy. And my thoughts are the same with Travis Kelce. Okay, inject your knee, go play today. For what?
Yeah.
You're playing the Lions. I think you're going to win that game anyways, with or without him. And so if I'm a Kelce manager, like, obviously I want him. Every single week is the best tight end in football, the biggest positional advantage in the game. But I would rather have him healthy for the rest of the season. So, I don't know. If you don't have Kelce, or if you have Kelce, you probably you might at this point have a second tight end on your roster. If you don't, there's probably some good options that you can go pick up. I think it's just one of those situations where, like, I would just be happy with the Chiefs resting him because I want him for the rest of the season to be full strength.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you drafted him anywhere in the first, which is likely where he went, if he dropped, you got insane value. But you're hoping that he actually sits, not only for me personally week 1, but I actually think week 2. Because if there's a high, possibility for re-injuring that knee, like, I don't care about the first couple of weeks in fantasy. I really don't. Because I think a lot of people are going to overreact and underreact. So therefore, you could almost leverage people kind of second-guessing themselves in fantasy over these first couple of weeks. So I would rather have Kelce sit, be okay, come back a lot stronger. And there's a lot of tight ends. You mentioned tight ends available. You could probably get one right now. Luke Musgrave's my favorite one. I've seen him. So he's the Packers tight end. And if we're just looking at usage rates, like amongst tight ends in the preseason, he had one of the highest. Even now, granted, Kelce probably didn't play, and other guys didn't play, like a Mark Andrews. But when you see a guy like Luke Musgrave, who's a rookie, where they invest capital in him, and he plays almost every snap on Jordan Love's dropbacks, and he's targeting him over the middle, you like that kind of usage, right? You just want to see him at least being used as an inline blocker and a receiver. So I like Luke Musgrave, not to mention Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson, who we will be talking about, also injured right now and could potentially not play. So Luke Musgrave could be in line for a massive target share, at least in week 1. So I'm okay with – I hope Kelce sits. Luke Musgrave's a good replacement. Let's go Cooper Kupp, though. Cooper Kupp is a guy that was contending for that number 2 or 3 pick in fantasy, right? Our guy, Underdog, Upper Hand Fantasy, posted a graphic a couple months ago, and it was like 92% of the time Cooper Kupp scores over 20 fantasy points. And the next closest was Justin Jefferson at like
Way
I think
under.
it was like 63% or something crazy. So Cooper Kupp, obviously, the data is predicting, according to Sports MD Analysis on Twitter, that a week 3 return could happen. The nerve recovers slower if it is involved. Now, I don't know. I guess let me read that slower. The nerve recovers slower if it's involved with the hamstring. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
IR is possible, but would be an outlier. So he re-injured the hamstring, right? I tweeted this out, and you were talking about it. As a Cooper Kupp owner, I got him in the second round. I got Diggs first. He came to me. I had the 7th pick, and he came mid-second. I was like, I have to take this opportunity. Best case, Cooper Kupp goes on IR, right? The fear with Cooper Kupp going on IR is that the team is just bad. They start 0-4. They're like, why are we going to rush him back? And now you're out a half a season.
Sucks. And you spent a first-round pick on him.
Exactly.
Well, at this point, if you drafted the past couple of days, maybe a second. But that
actually
fucking blows. Also, I'm going to let that slide because Cooper Kupp's white, so it's okay that you said owner because white people didn't own white people.
Yeah. That's a good take. That's a good take. That's a good take. I got nothing to rebuttal off that at all.
Go back to your fantasy take.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think with Cooper Kupp, like, I think when we look at the NFL, like, these teams that we expect to be super bad end up being really competitive. And I feel like even though the Rams, no one is rooting for the Rams. No one expects them to do anything. They have one of the youngest rosters in the NFL. It wouldn't shock me if they happen to be 2-2, in the first quarter of the season. So as a Cooper Kupp owner, I want him to go on IR. But hamstring injuries can be re-injured, I think, at the highest rate out of any injury. So what are your thoughts on Cooper Kupp?
Well, yeah, I mean, that last piece that you just mentioned, I mean, how many times have we seen that with receivers? I feel like it's any position, obviously. Hamstrings are hamstrings, but we see it so often with receivers because it's such an explosive position.
Right.
And Kupp is a route runner, which is like bursts, in and out of cuts. And so you want that hamstring to be good. It's not like he's burning anybody deep, but he's going in and out of cuts and stuff like that. So you want him to be healthy. I think it's the same situation as Travis Kelce. You spend high capital on this guy. You want to have him for the long haul. You don't want to risk it this early. And you're okay losing your first couple weeks. And hopefully you don't lose. Hopefully you can, you have somebody you could put in his place. But even if you do lose because you don't have him, I would rather be more confident in the rest of season rather than just try to win week 1.
For sure.
So that's how I feel about Kupp. And, I mean, look, I think receivers this year are deep. Super deep. And so you're okay putting someone else in his place. It's like, figure that out right now, who you want. And I think you'll be all right.
Yeah, I think also if you have Cooper Kupp, you hope he goes on IR. If you need some replacements, if you're looking at specifically the Rams, Puka Nacua.
I do remember the name Puka. I like that name. But
I'm not falling for the Van Jefferson trap. Like in games where Cooper Kupp was out last year, it's not like I think it was like a top 36 receiver, maybe top 50. I think it was. I was reading, but nothing crazy, nothing to be like he's gonna come in and replace him at a high level. So Puka Nacua is a guy on the Rams. They invested draft capital in him.
That's a hell of a name.
It's a hell of a name.
I might start him just because
they got Tutu Atwell and Puka Nacua.
Tutu Atwell is great,
but he's too small, and I don't want to.
Yeah,
but I don't want any of these wide receivers that can be blown against the fucking wind.
Nah, Tutu Atwell is like tiny as fuck, but Puka
Nacua.
Wow.
You gotta say it again.
Puka Nacua.
No, you gotta say it quicker.
Puka Nacua.
Yeah, see, it rolls off the tongue
bro,
so nice.
That's the type of fantasy analysis. You don't really see a lot of that type of analysis from like some of these top fantasy guys.
Yeah.
They're not analyzing names.
Right.
And if you really want to take it you want to get a positional advantage, you look at names.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce is a great name.
Nah.
It is because his name's Kels.
But
I call him Kelce because it's a better name.
But like a Noah Gray.
It's not good.
I disagree. I feel like for me,
Noah Gray.
I like Gray.
Kelce, it just rolls off the tongue.
That's a team name.
It's such a good name. It's not his actual name.
50 Shades of Gray. That's a hell of a team name.
Yeah, you're right. But Puka Nacua, bro. He wasn't even on my radar. Now he is.
You pick up Puka Nacua. You change your team name to Puka Shells. You're locked and loaded with Cooper Kupp on IR.
I like it. I mean,
but also some late round guys that might be also available that I actually like a lot better than any of those guys on the Rams would be Marvin Mims of the Denver Broncos. I know some people are picking him up. I mean, look, Jerry Jeudy's going to be out. Sean Payton, new head coach. Like when a rookie has an opportunity to seize a massive role because of injuries, especially under a new regime, I like that a lot. So Marvin Mims, good late flyer.
I understand. The only thing I'll say with that is that receiver is one of the hardest positions to get into your groove as a rookie. And
totally.
So
but you want to know a stat?
What's this? Oh, you
don't
got
quote me on it. But for the last, I think it was like 4 to 5 years, or maybe like 4 out of 5 years, it was something like some crazy stat. A rookie wide receiver has finished in the top 24.
Yeah.
But like,
I just
we
don't
don't
think
know.
it's week 1.
No, I don't. No, I'm not saying.
I know what you're talking about.
I'm saying over the course of the season.
I'm saying over the course of the season. Yeah, it still takes a few weeks to get going.
Like that could
But
be Zay.
yeah. I remember when like Odell Beckham's rookie year, shit was crazy. When he started popping off like week 4, week 5, we're like, oh, this guy's legit. But no, it happens. It happens. I just think you probably have somebody on your team right now that you can just input. Like, let's be real. You probably drafted a receiver in the 5th, 6th, 7th round that is a flex / wide receiver 3 guy. Like, put him in. Yep. You know what I mean? So.
Well, we just talked Marvin Mims. Let's go into Jerry Jeudy. Obviously, Jerry Jeudy was a guy. I think he went like in his ADP was around the 6th round. Could play week 1, 25% re-injury risk. Data favors week 2 return. Moderate explosiveness dip initially. If I'm a Jerry Jeudy owner, same thing. I want these guys to sit out, especially when it's hamstring. Manager. Okay.
PC.
Bro. If I'm a Jerry Jeudy manager.
There you go. See, that one I can't let slide.
Contributor.
No, that one doesn't make sense. All right, if you're a Jerry Jeudy manager, go ahead.
If I'm a Jerry Jeudy manager, I want him to sit also. Like specifically when it's a hamstring injury, and we're going to get to Christian Watson, the Packers guys, hamstring scares the shit out of me. Unless you're Cooper Kupp, scaring the shit out of me. Like we've seen
it's fucking annoying, especially with Jeudy. Jeudy has dealt with this in the past.
Yep.
At least Kupp, like, I don't think he's had hammy issues.
No.
It's been like ACL.
Yeah. And usually if you have an ACL injury, it ends up affecting your hamstring too. So
yeah. So I mean, with Jeudy too. I mean, you mentioned a couple guys. I mean, Mims, Sutton's playing. We hate Sutton though.
Like he can't run routes. Yeah, but I think he had.
But
he was good over the last couple of weeks when Jeudy was out.
Also,
or like that time when Jeudy was out.
Think about a guy that's kind of. I don't want to give it away, but I guess I'm gonna give it away this way. Like Mike Thomas-esque in size.
Yes, great comparison. That X. Yeah, great comparison.
So Sean Payton. That's correlation, right? Sean Payton there, what he did with Michael Thomas, he could do with Cortland Sutton. So, but yeah, Jerry Jeudy, same thing. I mean, all these guys, it's just like, it's week 1, so it's not a time where you're like overly stressed, right? If this is week 7 or 8 and you're at a losing record, you're like, shit. At this point, bro, like I want to win this week.
Yep.
Okay, you want these guys to go, but week 1, bro, like you got the whole season ahead of you. You're chilling. It's not something I'm worried about. Like, sit this guy, especially when it's something we've seen in the past. Jerry Jeudy, you don't need that. He's an explosive guy, boom or bust. Nah.
Well, speaking of another guy that's had a ton of injury history, George Kittle.
Yeah, I hate him.
You know what happened last year at this exact same time?
What?
George Kittle was injured. He missed weeks 1 and 2.
I don't know why you draft George Kittle. At this point, if you drafted George Kittle, bro, that's your fault.
Because he had 7 touchdowns over the last couple of games last year with Brock Purdy.
Well, he turned it on.
Like pure tight end.
Throughout, 12 or 13 weeks, the dude was a complete bust last year.
Correct, but they didn't have a quarterback also. Like pure tight end, if we want to go pure skill set, he's one of the best tight ends. He's top 3 tight ends. So you could get some value. Like George Kittle, I saw he dropped to like the 6th in a lot of these drafts. That's good value for George Kittle. So George Kittle's a guy that, according to Deepak Chona that we keep referring to on Twitter, go shout at him, Sports MD Analysis. The trajectory and history of playing through injury favor playing week 1. So low performance impact if active. So George Kittle's a guy that's always played through injuries. I'm not too worried. George Kittle looks like he's going to play. He's one of the toughest guys, one of the toughest tight ends. It's just tough because you have a guy with a ton of mouths to feed, as your tight end. So
here's the thing. This is different. I feel like this situation is different because
okay, hold on,
bro. You love your little dings.
Hold on. I got to turn it down.
There you go.
And we're good.
Because I think it's different because with George Kittle, like, he could be completely healthy today. He'll get hurt tomorrow. So I'm like, just fucking play.
Yeah.
I don't want a guy like Kelce doesn't have an injury history.
Right.
So I don't want to put that on him. Like, please recover completely and then go out there.
But you expect George Kittle to have
George Kittle, like, he could be fully healthy today and get hurt tomorrow. Like, it doesn't matter. So I'd rather him play today and get my points out of him.
If you drafted George Kittle, you knew he was going to get injured.
At some point. He's going to get hurt, right?
Well, here's a guy that I didn't expect to get injured, Mark Andrews. So he showed up on the injury report a couple days ago. He had a quad strain. So according to Deepak, it says, it's very common, low performance impact, but elevated re-injury risk. If the score isn't close, he may sit late. I mean, look, no matter what, you probably got Mark Andrews in the 3rd round. You're going to play Mark Andrews.
If he's playing.
If he's playing, of course. Now, Isaiah Likely's a guy like you could probably pick up late. I don't think anyone's going to go. Someone might run, but
he had some big games.
He had some big games, but he's touchdown dependent. Yeah, so I wouldn't sit there and be like, you're going to get very similar production whatsoever. There's so many mouths to feed. If Mark Andrews is good, I'm not too worried about it. Like, again, I keep coming back to it. Hamstring's the only injury that I feel very nervous about recovering from. That and maybe like a turf toe.
Yeah.
Like we saw that with Devontae 2 years ago, and we'll get to Terry McLaurin. But yeah, if you have Mark Andrews, you're going to roll him out. I think he's due for a big year. I'm not too concerned.
The Ravens are playing who?
The Ravens are playing.
Gotta rerun that, bro. It's been so
Commies?
excited for these matchups.
No.
Nah. They're playing
The Texans. Oh, yeah.
Houston. They're
That's why it
10-point
could be a blowout.
favorites.
Yeah,
They're 10-point
it could be a
favorites.
blowout. It could definitely be a blowout. JSN is my next guy up I want to talk about. Your guy.
JSN's my guy. I think here's a luxury of the Seahawks, and it probably goes against you if you're a Seahawks.
I have Tyler Lockett, yeah.
If you have JSN, because they're loaded at receiver. So it's like if you're Pete Carroll, even though I think I've seen that he is probable to play, I don't think it's in this tweet that we're looking at, but I saw somewhere else that he's probable to play. And so I think it was in our fellow Sam Wagman article, actually. What's up, Jack? Jack's looking at us, giving us a little wave.
Hey, Jack.
But they're so loaded at receiver, they don't need to play him. So if, look, I don't think you drafted JSN. At this point, we're getting to guys that they're probably not starting for you week one anyways.
100%.
So it's okay.
You also probably got him in the 7th round
You
or
got
later.
him later, yeah. Or you're like me, got him in Dynasty, and this is a long-term stash. You know what I mean?
Shout out JK. Shout out
shout out
Tony
the whole
Pollard.
squad, bro.
Shout out CeeDee Lamb.
The team's nasty. We're projected
crazy,
160 this week.
That's crazy.
But yeah, you're not really tripping about it. You weren't gonna start him week 1 anyways. If anything, you were thinking all right, I'm gonna draft him. I'm gonna get him a little bit later, and then he could really start paying dividends week 7, 8, 9, 10, and then that could be when you start starting them. So I don't think you're really too worried about that. Honestly, best case, sit them. You're good. I don't know. You're not weird.
2 other guys on this tweet that I want to talk about. One, Terry McLaurin. We just talked turf toe. Now he was upgraded, I think, this week. I saw a video of him running. Didn't look like a similar Terry McLaurin. I'm nervous if I drafted Terry McLaurin, only because 2 years ago, I think it was, when Devontae Adams had turf toe. He, I think, tried to come back early, ended up re-injuring it. I think ended up being out 6 weeks, or he ended up being out for an extended period of time. Turf toe scares me, unless it's not as bad. But if you have Terry McLaurin, obviously there are still other wide receivers on the waiver wire. A guy that I like is Jaden Reed, who we're going to get to the Packers. But so Terry McLaurin, turf toe, does that scare you at all?
Yeah. Like you said, the re-injury, I think that was the worry with hamstring. That's the worry with turf toe. We've seen it plague lots of guys in the past and have big fantasy impacts on different guys. But, I mean, McLaurin, you know better than me because you did a million mock drafts. Where was he kind of going?
Anywhere from the 4th to the 6th, depending. He was in that
kind of
mid.
high.
Yeah. Well, I think, it's tough because you can Jahan Dotson, who's a guy that had a good late run last year. All the reports out of preseason were that he was connecting with Sam Howell. You get Jahan Dotson maybe a round or 2 later, and he's healthy right now.
Samuel's still there, Curtis?
Yep.
Curtis Samuel.
And
so, I mean.
Yeah.
I just feel like, with Terry, when he's on the field, you're going to start him.
Mm-hmm.
Even last year, though, I mean, he was good, but there were weeks where other guys outplayed him, and you still don't know what you have with Sam Howell.
Yep.
I know there's a lot of good talked about him, and you got Bieniemy now, so.
Well, Jack's talking all this shit about Sam Howell and the commies.
Actually, Ron Rivera is very high on him. And I know he has to say that as a head coach.
Though, yeah.
Yeah, but it seemed a little bit more optimistic than I would even expect.
If you beat cancer, you're an optimistic person.
That's a fact, bro. Hey, shout out Ron Rivera, man.
Rivera.
No, I don't even have that much to say about McLaurin. I mean, if he's gonna be healthy, you want him to play. If not, you don't want him to re-injure. So, yeah. I got two other guys for you. One, Javonte Williams. He's a dog. Absolute fucking. He's a dog. Yeah, I mean, according to Deepak, algorithm projects 60% workload, 85% efficiency weeks 1 through 3. That's way too much analytics for me. He's been an outlier so far, so we anticipate outlier comeback. Data equals most often accurate, but we differ here, so we're offering you both projections. So the projections that Deepak is talking about is that he's going to be 90% efficient with an 80% workload, but the algorithm is projecting, based off of his ACL, 60% workload, 85% efficiency. I don't give a fuck about either of the efficiencies or whatnot. If I have Samaj P. Ryan, I'm playing him over Javonte. I have both of them in one of my leagues. Oh, nice. Sean Payton has had a top 15 running back in 10 straight years. Think about that for a second. Okay. When Sean Payton's the head coach, he's had a top 15 running back every time. So he's going to pepper a running back with targets. The problem is Samaj P. Ryan could either be the Mark Ingram type of guy or he could not. I think early on, I would want Javonte Williams to kind of, because as we've talked about, ACL injuries can linger into others.
Obviously, it's something that you can recover from, but he had the full knee, right? We saw with JK.
Yeah.
But JK came back with less touches and was super efficient with it.
And still wasn't 100%.
Exactly. So how many outliers can we act? We know that a full year, like a full season under your belt after the ACL is when you're usually better. So that would project 2024 for Javonte.
Yeah.
But he could be the outlier. Is it going to be Breece or is it going to be Javonte Williams as the outliers? All signs are pointing to both of them being healthy. My gut tells me Javonte because I have him on my team and I drafted him over Breece. Are you worried about Javonte's injury?
Nah, I think when he gets on the field, he's going to be good. It's kind of like you. If you have both of those guys, go Samaje, it's safer there. You know what you're getting with Sean Payton. And I'm glad you mentioned like Mark Ingram too, because there was that one year where both Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara were both like top 15.
Yeah,
were they both top 10?
Yeah. I don't know about top 10, but they were both, I think, like they were both
top 15 bags,
yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
They were insane, and they provide different things. I think the difference here is that Javonte Williams fully healthy, he's that top dog.
Yep.
Or like he's not gonna be splitting as many carries as like you had back in that Saints backfield because both of those guys were fucking awesome. Like both Pro Bowlers. Right here, like Samaje's a fine guy. He's fine. Filled in well for Joe Mixon last year when he had to. But Javonte Williams is like a top dog. Like he is he's different. So yeah, I mean, if I have both of those guys, I mean, you could go Samaje right now because it's safer. But Javonte, as soon as he gets on that field, man, I think he's gonna be special.
Yeah.
But like this tweet says, like, what's his name? Deepak talks about how he's an outlier, and he's been an outlier when he's played. So the injury is gonna be an outlier, like comeback as well. I mean, we've seen that with guys. Like,
yeah, I mean, you speak on it. To shout out Alex Caruso, one of our friends of the pod.
Fuck yeah.
He tweeted out. Obviously, the Sean Payton stat, that's where I got it from. But Javonte already outsnapped Samaje Perine in his first game back from that injury. So even in the preseason, he was outsnapping him. So it showed.
So he's good like soon, bro.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I don't even know if I'm so confident. I know you said like even now you probably starting some Samaje, but like I just think if like Peyton's not going to play games.
Well, here's what I'll say about week one. I feel more confident in Samaje Perine being able to score a goal line touchdown or have some receptions like on third down, then I would be to expect Javonte Williams to come in and be the guy that's going to have some goal line work. I know for a fact Samaje Perine's going to have work.
So you're predicating it off the goal line.
Exactly. And because it's now granted, if I needed upside, I'm going to go with Javonte. But because it's week one and I'm just looking for floor plays, I'm just looking to see, like, what do you feel more comfortable on? I feel more comfortable on Samaje Perine being able to find the end zone than Javonte Williams. And that's just a week one thing. I'm not saying I think Javonte Williams is going to be one of the biggest steals in fantasy. He went as the RB29 in a lot of drafts.
That's crazy.
And
that's
yet
low.
that Sean Payton stat of having a top 15 running back in every season, I mean, he's one of two guys.
Playing the Raiders, Swiss cheese defense, too.
Exactly.
So, I don't know, bro. Both guys might be a little relevant.
Yep. Last but not least, we'll go into Packers wide receivers. Romeo Dobbs, my guy, Christian Watson. So
you can spend the whole damn show on this
literally. So Christian Watson, before yesterday, was, had that breakout tag attached to him. A lot of the people in the fantasy community all over Christian Watson, which makes a ton of sense. His not only athletic build, the amount of touchdowns he had last year, his average air yards, all this stuff that points to a successful year, that followed for Christian Watson. The issue was the hamstring. Now, hamstring, knowing that you could re-injure it, knowing what it's done to Jerry Jeudy for an extended period of time, knowing how it's affected, how other players in general, like I had an opportunity last night on my draft. I started, shout out my team, Bijan Robinson. I got CeeDee Lamb in the second, which was crazy.
That's nice.
But I also had Keenan Allen. I had an opportunity to go to stack CeeDee Lamb, Keenan Allen, and Christian Watson. Like, he was there for me, and I chose to avoid Christian Watson because of the hamstring, knowing that there were other pieces available there. So the hamstring scared the shit out of me. Mm-hmm. As someone that you may not be as high on Christian Watson, but like we've talked about hamstrings time and time again, because it's his first hamstring injury and because of the potential upside in that offense as literally the alpha wide receiver one, are you worried about Christian Watson's hamstring?
Watson, man, his game is speed.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's different even than like some other guys who might be able to get away. Like, I always talk about this guy because it fucking got me as like for many years as I was playing Deshaun Jackson. I didn't want Deshaun Jackson because of those hamstrings. You never knew when it was going to get you, and because he was a straight burner. That's what he was going to do to you. Christian Watson, I love him. 6'4", 6'5", 4.3 speed. He's a burner. He's not much else than that. I think he can become better. He hopefully he improved his route tree this year. But I am worried because that hamstring is like, that's his tool. That's his weapon.
Yep.
That's what scares you is the speed with that guy. Like the amount of times we saw him just burn guys. And he had Aaron Rodgers last year. Now, I don't know the rapport with Jordan Love, but I mean, you said it's his first hamstring injury. Don't let it become a problem. So, yeah, like I'd rather have him be fully healthy before he comes back.
Yeah, totally. Also, just looking up today, Romeo Dobbs did practice, so that's a good sign. Christian Watson did not practice, which is not a good sign for his availability for Sunday. So I guess it's a very similar thing with any of these injuries, right? With week 1, you'd rather them sit week 1 and maybe 2, come back week 3, and take some flyers. So that brings me to the Jaden Reeds of the world, right?
Okay.
People forget, I think he was a 3rd-round pick. He was either a 2nd or 3rd-round pick. I think 3rd round out of Michigan State. Like, 3rd round is still capital. So the fact that the Packers invested that, they're going to get him the ball. He's a slot receiver. He's a shifty guy. I added Jaden Reed on as many teams as I can. He's going to get a fuck ton of work if Christian Watson's not there. And then you got Luke Musgrave. So for me, I'm looking at the whole entire Packers skill positions as like an opportunity to figure out who is that 1 if Christian Watson's out, and then also who is the 2. Because I think Romeo Dobbs doesn't have that locked up as much as people thought he did.
Yeah, well, you were the biggest.
I was. I mean, yeah. But he's the second coming of Cooper Kupp, but that makes sense because they're both injured their hamstrings. So that checks out.
Well, Musgrave, I love, even though tight ends is another position that takes a while to get acclimated in the league. It's tough. The blocking, it's a hard position. But Jordan Love, we know young quarterbacks. What do they lean on? Tight ends.
Yep. Especially over the middle.
Yeah, of course. It's the security blanket for them. It's less reads. You're not having to throw like some of the the outside of the numbers throws. Those are complex throws that some of the best quarterbacks can do. As a rookie or a 2nd year or 3rd year guy that's getting your first starts right now, then you like to lean on those guys over the middle. And Musgrave, even being a rookie tight end, I do like the prospect of that. Just because he's the security blanket.
Yeah, literally. Shout out Alex Caruso. I just had it up, but only 2, I believe. Here's a stat. Only 2 of 451 rookie tight ends have finished in the top 12 in fantasy points per game after being drafted round 2 or later. So that would fit Sam Laporta and Luke Musgrave. The counter that I make to that for Luke Musgrave is that he ran a route on 100%, as I mentioned, of Jordan Love's dropbacks. 100% was with the starters. He has, to me, tight end 1 upside. I think
this year?
Yes, I do. Not overall. I'm just saying top 12 tight end, I think, is absolutely in the realm for him.
I think that's crazy.
Yeah. That's the point, though. I'm following usage. And for me, I don't think we've seen as many rookie tight ends have this level of usage. Not to mention have this level of usage on an offense that doesn't have weapons.
That's what I like.
That,
right?
to me, is where it is. Like,
do you think he finishes above another
Dalton
fellow
Kincaid?
rookie that was in the first round, though?
Yes, I do.
Yeah?
And the reason I think that is because of the amount of mouths to feed. And also Luke Musgrave as an inline blocker.
I like the quarterback in Buffalo.
Oh, 100%. But I don't know. Like, you already have Dawson Knox, right? So how much playing time is actually going to be split up amongst them?
I don't know. They like him.
The upside you have with Dalton Kincaid is you might have a tight end playing wide receiver. They're putting him in the slot.
Straight through.
Yeah. So you might just have just a big tight end, which is unbelievable. Or a big wide receiver, I should say. So the only reason I would lean Luke Musgrave right now is because of the usage in multiple sets and the fact that there's not as many mouths to feed. And that's about it. I have both on my team. I drafted literally both last night. So
oh, yeah?
Yeah. So I have both, and we'll see from there. But yeah, I don't know. There's a fuck ton of injuries in fantasy right now. Like, I think would you say this is the most amount of injuries to elite players in fantasy before even playing a game? Like, from recent memory?
Week 1, because I think most of the time you draft the first round, usually you don't really have many guys you're worried about. Like, all those guys are. Like, when you think about who you're playing week 1 every single year, you have a star, they have a star. Yep. And now it's like your best guy being your 2nd round pick. You're not really used to that. So I'm playing right now today a guy that has Travis Kelce, and I didn't even know. I was looking through his roster yesterday, and I projected to outscore him like by a lot. And I'm like, why? He has Kupp. This is Dynasty too, right? So he has Kupp. He has Kelce. He has like another guy, and I'm just like, damn, his team would have been fucking stacked.
If he had both, yeah.
Because of that, like it's weird. Week one, it
is really weird. But that's where you got to listen to like a podcast like this, right? Where we're gonna kind of go a little bit deeper from like the fans' perspective, not as much from like the analysts. Obviously, we're definitely not experts, but we like playing fantasy, so we're gonna try and help you win your game. Also, we mentioned it early on. We're gonna start incorporating a lot of questions. I had some DMs last night from people asking fancy stuff and we're rating their lineups. DM us on Twitter or just add us. You can follow me at TGD Tabs or the Felipe Fontes. Yeah. I think that's the best way to kind of interact with us from a fantasy perspective on Twitter, even though if you want some personal growth advice, that's why you're going to follow Felipe on Twitter as well.
For the most part.
But yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter and check that out.
Underdog?
Yeah, we're going to jump into some Underdog. Now, before we jump into an Underdog parlay that we made, you could sign up for Underdog Fantasy with a promo code GAMEDAY right now. You can get up to $100 first deposit match. So if you want to play Underdog, I don't know if you have played Underdog. Underdog's sick. Like this is actually the first year that I've really played it and gone through everything. I think what makes Underdog really, really cool is the fact that you and I are talking fantasy right now, but we could just say higher or lower from a fantasy points perspective. So for example, David Montgomery tonight, I think his line is set at 10 fantasy points, right? And they play half PPR. I took the higher in David Montgomery because I do think he finds the end zone, and I do think he's going to have 2 receptions, 3 receptions.
Yeah.
I think everyone's projecting Jahmyr Gibbs to have all the receptions. I think David Montgomery gets a lot more love than people are expecting. And therefore, the fact that you and I can take the higher or the lower on fantasy points is what makes Underdog super unique. It's not just player props, it's fantasy props. And I think that's really cool. So make sure to go to thegameday.com/promotions for the Underdog promo and any other promos. But
and they got fun specials too. I was gonna say just the half yards. Obviously, we see that every now and then on the different books and stuff like that. But they have a lot of them.
They have so many.
And so bro, it's not even free money. It's literally free money.
It's free money. It's free money. And especially when they're matching $100 first deposit.
Yeah.
I used literally mine just now. So you and I cooked up 2 different parlays on Underdog for Sunday specifically.
Yep.
I took all highers. You took all lowers.
Yes, I did.
You and I are going to debate which one we think is more likely of hitting.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll ride it out and go from there and see.
Let's
go.
go.
You want to start? You want me to start? I think you should start. Let's start low.
I should start, man, because we all hate anyone that just bets and enjoys this shit. We hate betting the under.
Yep.
So you gave me the difficult task here because I don't want to root against guys, but I'm going to have to.
But let's see your analysis. Let's
so here we go. Jimmy G.
Jimmy G. That's a good one.
It's going, right?
I agree.
I don't even have to say what the line is.
I agree.
All right, good. Let's go to the next one.
Can I guess it? Can I guess it?
Yeah, go ahead.
It is Jimmy G's. It's either his completions or his passing yards.
It's his passing yards.
You
want to guess?
Jimmy G?
Yeah, I did.
You're taking
you
under
want to guess
Jimmy
what
G?
it is?
I'm taking under on Jimmy G.
We heard you
Yo, I'm
talking
not
about
letting you
whose
do that
parlay
shit
is
with-
better,
without
and so
me
we
here.
decided we would be the
I am
actual
not.
judge.
I am not letting you slander Jimmy Garoppolo, James Garoppolo, without me
go.
here.
We both cooked up a
motherfucker.
higher and a lower parlay.
Yeah.
You guys say which one's more likely.
And
of
also,
hitting.
guys, this isn't fair, right? Do you like betting on the under?
Never.
No.
Oh, so it's tough, bro. But
I'll be honest.
given
But
the task.
if I've learned anything
No, but
from
the
the
under is fun for
pros,
some
from
things.
the pro sports bettors, it's the under is actually something you should be taking sometimes.
Yeah.
They're-
I mean, yeah,
they're from time to time.
Why you gotta be hating on my boy? though?
No,
I definitely-
you got to find the lowers.
I definitely
That's
am,
so lowers you could take. Anthony Richardson, you could take.
love the next
Wait.
I definitely am
shit.
generally of the belief that life is too short to bet.
I
the
still
under,
feel like
but-
Jimmy's my
What's the
quarterback,
lower?
bro.
What's
All right,
his passing
the
yards?
under is
set
226.5.
For
Jimmy
who?
G.
at? Low.
They're playing Denver. Denver's defense is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pat
220
Surtain's gonna
though.
pick him off
110
6
and a
times.
half.
No, he's not. Jimmy G doesn't
G
throw
doesn't turn
picks,
the ball
bro.
over. You're
He
right.
doesn't turn the ball over.
That
You just won't throw it more than 15 yards.
Because 110 and a half with
Can I
Devontae
see-
Adams
wait,
in
what
a
is he
shootout. Well, I haven't done
Bro,
mine.
actually,
looking through
Jimmy's
26 and a half.
under, I kind of like because he won't throw it more than 15 yards.
Felipe,
on
read the whole
field.
parlay.
You can't do that.
All right, next we got your boy Tua Tagovailoa. 266.5.
It's tough.
That's high.
Wait,
I don't think it's
you're taking
high.
you're taking over or
His are all lowers.
I
All
had to
mine
take
are all
all
higher.
under. I had to take an under parlay. He
I
took
feel
a
like
lower
that's
parlay.
Yours
I
are
feel
all
that's baiting you.
lower,
Higher,
higher.
yeah.
I feel like
Lower,
that's
higher.
I feel
The
like that's baiting you
yeah.
to take over though,
Lower.
because
Yep.
Yep.
Lower.
The
under
higher?
seems too easy on that.
lower, yeah.
The lower.
Yeah,
Lower-
the
lower
lower
and
lower
higher.
seems
Yeah.
too easy on that.
Yeah.
I feel you.
Okay, that's your next.
All right, what's
All right,
who else?
DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
High.
so-
How do you have to
Next.
say it?
lower whatever the fuck the number
Wait,
is, bro.
Six receiving yards outplayed. It's 57.5.
You're taking lower?
Oh, I
I'll
don't
take it.
know.
Wait,
That's-
wait, wait, wait,
All right,
wait.
what
Hold
about
on.
the over on
I'm
average?
with you.
You
I'm
did
with you
higher,
on that.
higher,
How much?
higher.
Tell me you're taking your whole parlay is lower.
His is all lowers.
whole
Mine's
parlay is
all
lower.
higher.
Oh,
Mine's all higher.
boy.
Dude, it could be
Felipe's is
8.5
so-
yards. I'm going lower for Dion.
All right,
So
you lower-
here's the problem. Whenever you look at anything, you always natural instinct is to bet the higher. Is to bet the higher.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just more
The
fun.
higher, Yeah.
You want to be positive,
so-
but you know what? Felipe's, he's a realist.
I'm a realist. So
right,
DeAndre Hopkins,
Dion
57.5 lower.
Jeez.
Jalen Hurts, rushing yards.
What's
Lower
the
than-
number?
Don't forget, playing the Patriots. Really good defense. Bill Belichick.
I like that one. I like that
They're
one.
good.
How many yards?
It's 41.5.
Belichick
Pretty
will know,
high.
It's high,
That is
right?
pretty high.
Belichick will know how to scheme him, honestly, like to keep him from running. Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. He might get a little some passing
that's
yards.
hey,
but
that's sharp, bro.
41.5. That's
So
really
sharp, bro.
Sharp is a fucking tactic.
Yeah,
guy.
So
Oh my
lower, and then I feel like I got all y'all's teams. Nah, I didn't get the Niners, but I got your guy Jimmy.
But you got
My
McLaurin.
last one is Saquon Barkley.
Oh, yeah.
It's rushing and receiving yards. Keep in mind, Cowboys
Lower
defense,
than.
pretty good, healthy. 92 and a half.
Texas.
Oh, I don't like that.
Hate it.
Rushing and receiving,
and
92
receiving, 40 and
Hate it.
50.
Hate it. I'll admit I'm biased, but I hate it.
I hate it. That's why it's probably going to hit.
That's what I'm
honestly.
saying. There's got to be one of these where you're like, oh, that one's definitely not, and it's going to be the main one that does.
I think that's the
All right, let me
riskiest
read mine.
one.
Let me read mine.
It could be.
I think the others are pretty solid.
All right,
so I don't
so
got
I created a
hires.
hires parlay on Underdog.
Let's hear it.
I'm going to save the best one for last. So the first one is Alexander Madison higher than 0.5 rushing and receiving touchdowns.
Who
so
did they play?
The Viking. I don't give a fuck. You tell me Alexander Madison's not going to score 8 touchdowns.
See, his job is so much easier,
Yeah,
bro.
it is.
Yeah, one
But then
touchdown.
why is that the line? Why just do rushing touchdowns or receiving touchdowns?
Oh, it's
That's
both.
weird.
It's both. So
You
it
have to
doesn't
just
matter how
score
he
one.
scores.
Just one touchdown.
Not on special
Easy.
teams.
Sure.
No, it has to be rushing. and
Odds
receiving.
are
Not
he
that,
probably
not that he
does
plays.
that.
Not that he
Okay.
plays on special
Yeah.
teams.
Odds are Madison probably does that.
He's their lead.
My
back.
next one is Tyreek Hill over. Sorry, Tyreek Hill higher 6.5 receptions.
6.5?
I think he's just going to be
He's got the
peppered.
easiest job in the world.
That's
6.5
such
receptions
big
against the
for
Chargers. They're
Tyreek.
going to be duking it out.
Yeah, that's going to be 45
I got
to
wait,
42.
wait. You're gonna this is hidden. Calvin Ridley higher
Don't
than
care what it
5
is.
receptions
Don't care what it is.
Yeah.
Higher.
Take.
against the Colts.
Take.
Oh,
I
yeah.
actually, that one I don't
What
love.
corner do they have now?
Well, but they have a million receivers.
Yeah,
Zay
but
Jones?
you're telling me 4
Who else?
receptions? I think they're going to throw the ball
Christian
40
Kirk?
times.
Is
I don't
Christian
care.
Kirk
And if
still
they get up early, bro, Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby are going to be taking over that
Yeah,
game.
that's fair.
Also, you'll hear it
actually.
on our predictions
Don't forget
episode.
about Tank.
I also took
Tank
the
the
Colts.
Tank.
a hell of a name.
Bigsby.
I also
I
took
love
the
Tank.
Colts.
Tank the Frank. Bigsby.
Don't forget about Puka Nacua, actually.
Puka Nacua.
Tank the Frank.
Yeah, you know Puka Nacua?
Puka Nacua. Shout out BYU.
Yo, we got to do a draft of just best
Names.
football names.
Yeah,
Puka
yeah,
Nacua
yeah.
is
Puka Nacua.
crazy.
Wait,
No,
wait,
that's
let me
a
finish.
rugby name.
Let me finish.
Oh, is it?
Let me finish. Jamar Chase, 1 receiving touchdown. Higher than
Higher than a
0.5.
half?
Who they playing?
Sure.
The Browns.
Yeah, I like
And
Chase.
last but not least, because kickers are people too,
No, they're
Daniel
not.
Carlson, higher than 5.5 kicking points.
Love it.
2 field goals.
The Raiders
What team
offense.
is he? He's a Raiders.
The Raiders
Yeah.
offense will be good
2
enough to get
field
down
goals?
the field, but
But they
not
can't
good enough
convert.
to
Yeah,
They
2
can't
field goals. We
convert.
take that. We
That's
take
2
that.
field goals.
You want to know the payout? It's 30 to win 600.
You better let Lipe do a higher one next week, though,
I'll
because that's
take
way
the-
more
yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Agreed.
See,
Okay,
that's what I was trying to
so
say.
we like
Fucked you.
So we like my underdog.
Let's see what
parlay?
mine is. 30 to win.
I'm gonna be honest. I
Lipe's
like, I like
is sharp.
Felipe's more.
Lipe's
I like
is
Felipe's
sharp.
more.
Yours is more exciting. to
Yours
root
is
for.
more fun.
Yours
but
is a lot
Felipe's
more
more-
fun.
Adam, yours is more fun, but Felipe's will hit.
Oh.
Oh no, Saquon's
My track
gonna
record is
fuck
Yeah,
it.
but
pretty
Jack
good.
knows ball. So you might be
Jack
right.
knows ball.
Jack knows ball.
So
They also said Matan knows ball, though.
They did.
But
By the way,
Matan also just
And
said
they
I
said
know.
Felipe.
The
I don't-
comments
they all-
right
the comments
now-
also say they don't know how Felipe has a job.
Yeah, the comments on the NFC predictions right now.
Dude,
Since
bro.
you've been recording,
That's
I've
how
been
you know
looking at the
you're doing something
comments. The
right.
comments on the NFC playoff picture are all Matan knows ball, Matan knows ball, Matan knows
my
ball.
God.
Felipe, and one
all
guy
the
was like, I don't
hashtags
know
you put
how
NY
Felipe has a
Giants?
job. And
All
I was
right.
like, what?
Well, as a
I'm like, bro,
reminder,
he's head of social.
as a reminder, I want to wrap this fantasy episode. If
We
you
do
want
need
to
to wrap
get
it up.
in the action, get in the game with Underdog Fantasy, you can sign up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code GameDay. You can get up to $100 first deposit.
No way.
Deposit.
John,
You
dude,
said it
wait,
very
up to what?
Up to $100 first deposit.
I'm betting on Puka Nacua.
Yeah.
Puka Nacua.
Higher.
Once I get my
higher.
$100,
Are y'all
bro,
were y'all talking Puka Nacua earlier?
Quickly, can you
Bro, I wish I was here for Puka
quickly
talk.
go to Puka Nacua's higher or lower? He might be there.
Is he there?
He might be there.
Bro, that's a higher.
What team is this guy
hard to
on?
find.
Who is he on the
Rams.
The Rams.
Who the hell
Hey,
is
BYU
that?
wide receiver legend.
Yeah.
God, bro,
Dude.
this is so
Mormons.
hard to find.
Yeah.
Probably
Puka
not
Nacua?
Mormon. Probably Hawaiian or
Here we go.
Underdog's
Rams.
lit,
He's
though.
definitely poly.
He's not on there.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's
Samoan,
the Chargers.
maybe?
The Chargers.
Wait,
hold up.
Here we
Nope,
go.
he might
Before
be
we
on
close it out. Puka
there.
Nacua.
Buy some time. Talk.
Puka Nacua.
Bro, when I got that underdog thing,
Puka Nacua's on it.
oh,
18 and a half.
Oh,
higher.
Higher.
Wait, can we take it right now with Underdog?
Yeah, you better rip that.
You better deposit
Puka.
another $100.
I can't add another
Puka.
leg tomorrow, probably, but
Bro,
Well,
if he goes,
gotta bet
if
mine
he
for-
hits his high, we should all get Puka shell necklaces.
Okay.
Puka
wait,
Nacua.
can he be one of our guys this year? Like we had Isaiah Pacheco
Yes,
last
Puka
year.
Nacua.
Puka Nacua's our boy.
Puka
We're
Nacua.
planting the
Barriers.
flag on Puka Nacua.
Bro,
Simi Fehoko
if
fell through.
We
so-
have to get Puka Nacua
R.I.P.
Puka shell necklaces.
I
now.
ordered, obviously, everyone tattoo sleeves. I will get all of us Puka shells for Monday.
Bro, honestly, bring back Puka shell necklaces. I
I'm
thought
down.
that was the fucking
I'm down.
man in elementary
Okay,
school.
so
Those are cool
if
for
Puka
sure.
his higher 18 and a half hits, we'll all wear it on the pod
All right.
All right.
Monday.
Shout out Puka, man.
But yeah, sign up for
Amazon.
Underdog. $100 first deposit match. Also, for any other betting promos for the upcoming NFL season, make sure to go to thegameday.com/promotions. You're going to find it all.
forget.
There's a lot of good
Also,
ones.
yeah, that was good. we have our live show. Now that you guys are all here, Matan, you want to say hi and what we're doing at 7 o'clock tonight? Because
Yeah,
this
so
is going to
after
come out
the
in like
video,
40
you guys
minutes.
can talk without
So
me.
Thursday
After the
night
video.
football,
Fuck
ahead
you,
of
Jack.
Thursday
Wait, no,
night
stay in
football.
it at this point.
No, go,
I have
go.
to edit an action.
I don't
Go,
care.
go,
No,
go.
sit.
Okay, whatever.
Sit back.
For
Sit
2
in.
seconds. We're
Sit
about to wrap
back.
up. Listen.
Sit up, bro.
Let him go,
You're good
bro.
there. You're
Let him
good.
go. It doesn't matter.
It does matter.
Tonight, Thursday night football, we're doing a pregame show live, 7 p.m. So definitely tune in. We're gonna be
Literally
breaking
like
down,
2 hours. if
We're
you
gonna be
want this.
breaking down the entire game and just what we think the futures will look like for both the Chiefs and the
Yeah.
Lions and how this season will go for them. But then
Sunday.
something we should shout out is throughout the NFL season, we will be going live every Sunday throughout the 1 o'clock slate of games. We're gonna have a pregame show starting around noon Eastern. And we'll be breaking down the whole slate, talking what our bets are, our fantasy lineups, all that stuff. So be sure to tune in. It's gonna be on.
we'll be
It's
talking
gonna be on
Puka.
every platform. It's gonna be on TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. So
CBS.
definitely,
Amazon Prime.
Bro, if you're
they want us. Eventually, we'll take over the big networks, but we're getting there, one step at a
yeah.
time. Let's
Pat
dominate.
McAfee,
Let's dominate where we're
Caps
at.
Off Pod.
just remember, if your inner circle isn't talking about Puka Nakua, they're not your real friends.
Yeah, it's true,
true.
and they don't know ball.
Romeo Dobbs,
Take,
Puka
bro.
Nakua.
So yeah, tune in to all of our live streams. We're gonna have a whole bunch of them this season. Get in the comments with us. You'll be able to discuss everything with us. It's gonna be a great time.
All right. Well, we'll see you tomorrow for our predictions episode.
Hey, win your fantasy championship today.
Puka Nakua.
Puka.
Sign up for Underdog this NFL season. They're giving up to $100 first deposit match with promo code GameDay. So get some skin on the action. You take the highers or the lowers. We'll see you there. Join some Underdog fun.